I am back, baby. And I had to take a few months off, break a while, because for me it's summer, and I wanted to get travel a little bit. I did with a few friends and family, and well, rest assured I'm back, and this is one belated review, like April belated. I've been meaning to want to do a movie review on this, but I never got a chance to watch it in theaters because I was so busy. So here it goes. This is my review on A Quiet Place. And by far, this is, by far, this movie is beyond what I thought it would be. It's PG-13, which blows my mind because not that many PG-13 movies are like this intense. They're usually action packed or suspense or drama or anything. But when I saw the trailer, I thought this was like a rated R film, and this film isn't rated R. It is PG-13, but there are some elements in this film that make it seem rated R. One point in particular, the aliens look gruesome. They're like, oh, okay, I'm getting way too ahead of myself. Sorry. So, yeah, let's get to this belated review of A Quiet Place. So, A Quiet Place is a recent film done by my favorite actor from The Office, John Krasinski, and I have to say, I'm gonna say my rating right now. It's 10 out of 10. My rating for this movie is like 10 out of 10 completely because not only Jesus hot. Hold on. Not only does it like give you a sense of suspense, but it actually adds. Sorry, but it actually it's more than that. If you like this is also a very different alien type film, a sci-fi film initially, because it's very ambiguous. The ending, I mean, the ending is very like ambitious, and it's very like open ended. Like, what can happen after this? Because I'm not gonna say it right now, but they discover something, and it's like, can they? And I can definitely see a potential sequel after this, and so I'm really hoping where it would lead, and if and also it's different because they take away the talking factor. They take a like you have to pay attention, even though it's kind of hard in this kind of film because in the theaters I never experienced this in the theaters, but I can tell it was loud. It's like bah, but in a sense, like it's more of you have to pay attention type film, but at the same time you're like very very afraid because the concept is these aliens are blind, but their hearing sense is like intense. Like they can hear, like give or take. Say you're on a football field, right? And like give or take, say you're down two entire football fields combined, and then you know how hard it is to hear someone talk. But say they just dropped a glass of water at the end of one football field, they can hear it as if it was like that. They can hear it. So that's what blew my mind. That's what pulled me into the intrigue because not that many films are so different nowadays. It's always following the same concept. Look at Star Wars. Like it rarely looks any different. The only recent film that like did something completely different and like kind of crashed the world is The Last Jedi. Or look at like superhero genres. Even though those follow a certain story, it still is the same thing. We have the hero arc, then we have him gaining his powers or not, and then we have him fighting the bad guy, blah blah blah. But this one, it's different. They don't explain anything a little bit. They don't explain a lot. They don't explain a lot. They give you certain amount of information. Like for example, and this is in the trailer too. Emily Blunt character. Oh, by the way, they don't tell you who these people are. They don't say, oh, this is Barry, this is Jim. No, they don't. I feel like because it's like that kind of film where you want to just at least know the people, but at the same time you don't want to. It's hard to explain. And then so this one scene, it's in the trailers too. Emily Blunt's character is facing these monitors, and then there's these boards, these whiteboards that say different kind of material, like they're blind, they're armored. There's like how many people, like how many aliens are out there. So it's basically like that's the story right there. That's what they're facing. So you have to pay attention to that. And so it goes on to seeing them in action, because in the trailers too, it's really saddening too. This kid holds like a toy rocket that makes these loud noises and everything, and then it's completely like dead silent. So then, you would think that the aliens would come, and so it goes on, and then it like kind of dives into this whole like protection of the family and stuff. Like, are you willing to do this for? I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I have to clear up some things. Where was I? Oh yeah. So this movie like tackles so many different, like it feels different in a sense because it feels like a family film at the very beginning. Then it starts to feel like a horror film towards the middle, and then it starts feeling kind of they kind of mesh both of those at the same time towards the end. So all in all, John Krasinski and whoever wrote the story, the screenplay, I give you props for making me and my mom scream our butts off because we were like completely terrified. Especially there is one scene. I'm hoping to those who've seen the film, like you gotta like. There's that one scene. Me and my mom are like, oh, and I hope John Krasinski ever sees this and like kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to be like my mind's still fresh in like the brain. It's like because the movie immerses you head first when the beginning starts. It's like diving into a pool head first. It's like bam, you're in there already, and then you have to take everything in from the moment it starts. So then you're like, okay, hold on, and then it doesn't, and then you see what the aliens are capable of, and you know from the beginning they don't care. Like as soon as you make noise, boom, your dinner. It's so intense. It's so gripping, and I love it. Like this goes to like highlight every single time. I've been wanting to see this. I'm happy I saw it. I know it's belated. Now on to the spoilers because I was crying. Don't judge me, but like, okay, I'm gonna just get into spoilers. All right, so A Quiet Place. I recommend watching this. I'm gonna probably beg my mom to buy this because I want to show this to my friends. Like, if I might like want to try and make a movie out of it or a short film out of this. Yeah, Quiet Place, 10 out of 10 out of my book. Personally, I absolutely love this film. John Krasinski, well done. Jim Halpert, you look good with a beard. Um, yeah. So, for those who have not seen the film yet, this is like actually quite heavy spoilers. So, be warned. You have been warned. Warned. So, all right. Spoiler time. So, in the beginning of the film, they actually lose a child because mistakenly he grabs a pair of batteries and a toy rocket that makes these loud, noises, and then he starts playing with it. And John Krasinski, who's the father, like is like, oh no, and then starts running. But then he sees an alien like 10 times faster than him. And then next thing you know, he was that close to grabbing the child, but then the alien just grabbed him too quick, and it like legitimately crushes him and eats him. I don't know if it eats him, but I just know it like, bah! It grabbed him, and I'm like, oh. And then that's the title sequence. It's like Quiet Place. It's like, what? So then, the movie is sequenced by days. It says started by day 89 to day 467 to day 700, 473. I'm gonna just stop right there. And then it goes that Emily Blunt's character is pregnant, and then she realizes that, oh, I'm due for the 23rd or something, but her water broke, and then she and then all of a sudden a nail on the ground, she accidentally steps on the nail, and then she drops a picture frame, and then knowing that the aliens can hear from a very far distance, thinking they're like, oh, I heard something, and then all of a sudden she's about to give birth with like an alien inside, and then you thinking, oh I was literally like covering my ears because I was like anxious, and then the alien's like right outside, and I'm just like, oh no, and then she's trying to hold in the screaming and everything, and then John Krasinski's tells his son to like make rockets go off, and then you thinking, what does that mean? And then they had this bright idea of basically firing fireworks to make sure that nothing that because late earlier in the film, John Krasinski takes his son to go fishing, like because they need food to survive. And then they go to this waterfall, and then John Krasinski is like like howling, and then they can talk to each other. That's like there are some bits in this film where there's like legit talking, and it's because that since the water is like kind of distracting and loud, you know they can basically hide in there, and then be free for a little bit because it's like a distracting loud noise. And then it goes on to more of like then they create basically a soundproof basement, which is like beyond cool. And then the movie goes on, and then all of a sudden she gives birth. Thankfully, she doesn't die. Thankfully. And then it goes to where like these kids are scattered around the place, and then they need to reconvene. And then the mother basically, or Emily Blunt's character, is saying, "Promise me you'll do anything to protect our children." And then I'm thinking, oh, something's about to happen. I thought like at the end of the movie he'll die, and then that's the cut, and then they'll leave you on a cliffhanger. But that doesn't happen. Then it goes on to where these kids are trapped in a truck with the big creepy crustacean looking alien. Looked like a crab. With like it just looked really disgusting and creepy and realistic. But it goes to like it's more towards hold on, let me regather my thoughts. I'm sorry. So these kids are stuck in a truck, and the alien's like right on top of it. It can't get in the truck for some reason. So it's like, bah! And then all of a sudden, John Krasinski, after being injured by the alien because it just basically bitch slapped him like, bah! Across like 5 feet, and then all of a sudden, John or the character realizes what he has to do because there's no way for them to escape. So then he tried to swing at it with an axe, which didn't work because they're armored, and you realize what he means because they're really like underneath the armor is like their actual skin. And then he basically sacrifices himself. He says I love you in sign language to both of the kids, and I says I've always loved you. And then he screams, and then you're thinking to yourself, oh no. And then he basically dies. He dies at the end because he had to, like, the mother basically, well, he didn't make it, but like any father is willing to protect their children under any circumstances. I would know that because I'm not a dad. I'm 17, but I take care of like younger cousins of mine that are like look up to me because I'm older, and I would protect them no matter what. And knowing that it really is more of like a touching moment to think that like John, or as the character, I don't know his name, but literally it felt real. It felt like he's this moment of time where his kids are trapped and they're nothing to do, and he just basically screamed, and he's like, here, take me. And then next thing you know, it gets him, but then the kids run away. And then because the father's basically the man who does everything, knows everything, and throughout like the movie, the girl with so this girl, the daughter character, is deaf, and she's like rejecting all of his janky ideas and everything. I'm just like, why? At the end of the movie, she like kind of regrets it, and I'm like, exactly. But at the end of the movie, though, they discover something that since she has a hearing aid, and then it kind of counteracts with the alien's hearing, because this is my theory. Okay, this might be way off or way on. I don't care. So the alien's hearing is so like it's amplified. It's beyond like it can hear further than the human ear can because that's what they are, but they're blind. But the hearing aid helps those who are deaf, but it actually you can also amplify it. So the fact that the technology from the hearing aid counteracts or basically fights against the alien. So then it's like the whole battle against it, because the way I think of it, it's like batteries. if you or magnets, basically it's like magnets. If you have an opposite and a negative, they connect. But if you have two opposites, like if you have a south pole and a south pole, they kind of fight against each other. And it depends who has the stronger frequency. And then the girl figures it out and then slams it on, very dramatically, slams it onto the PA system and then blasts the crap out of that crustacean looking alien. And then the mother, to finish them off, bang, shotgun to the face, glorious ending. And then all of a sudden, at the end, you're thinking, oh, you since you know the information that they can hear from a great distance, they're like, oh no, she fired the shotgun. But the dad had like tons of like hearing aids scattered around the table, and you're just thinking, oh, so then they can use it as a weapon. And then the way they end it was like kind of let's get him, it's like that kind, it's kind of like that, but they don't, she doesn't say it, just goes and then it cuts to black, and then I'm just like, okay, I get it. You want to end it on a happy note ish after seeing so much like chaos and like destruction. And I don't know, the world they built was very immersive because the way it starts is very this gray, not gray, but more like kind of yellow gray filter, and then you think it looked almost like it's a dystopian future, duh, and clearly it's like very far, not too shy off the future, because when the kid died, it said that the gravestone said 2016 to 2020, and it's 2018. So if this happens, I'm gonna die. But so that kind of gives you a clue as to where they are into the future. So then, and yet we still don't know like who these aliens are or what, but we do know that they can hear from a great distance, that they're armored, and they have these little weird pincers for hands that like crabs, basically. They look like crabs, like legit creepy looking crabs. And then, you know, it's been spread all over the world. Like there was a newspaper that says Shanghai death count or death rate, and then there was one I think on London, and then you see bunches of clues as to what happened, like as to who these creatures are, because we're throughout the movie you're thinking, what do they want with us? When in reality, like in my opinion, I'm just keeping it simple. They just want to kill. That's like it's like that's the world right there, because in most movies, I don't know why they like take it too far. Like, oh, they want to mutate us. They want to make us into like one of them. We're the past versions of them. They're more, no. These creatures don't mean business. They don't negotiate for anything. They hear you, you die. That's basically the world they've set in, and I love it. It's like, and also in like watching the movie, you're basically part of it too. It's so unique to where, you know, the moment, because me and my mom were eating snacks, and then I like was opening a bag, and it was like that silent scene where there's just nothing happening. I'm just like, I'm gonna put it down, and it's so immersive, it's so palpable, it's so delicious. It's like you want more, and I'm there's rumors that are spreading and speculating that there's gonna be a sequel to this. John Krasinski, please do a sequel. Keep like I'm just saying, because this is, I can definitely see like two movies coming out of this, or maybe a trilogy. I don't know, but like after seeing this, I'm like thinking this has potential for a possible sequel. It depends how you play it out, but I'm full board with it. And to me, this is like a great refresher from seeing this kind of film, because in my opinion, movies have been very bland, have been very like, not this summer though. This summer was really great with Avengers, Ocean's 8, Ready Player One was like really great, and then you get like these movies like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom in the mix. It's like, oh. But after seeing this film, I definitely, there's like this could change horror films forever, because the potential in this film, like look what John Wick Chapter 1 and 2 did. Basically, they took the action genre and expanded it. They transcended it. They basically took it and then basically kind of mushed it and then made it their own. But now they have, like, action movies have a new standard to follow. Like, look at Hotel Artemis that's coming out, which I'm actually quite excited for. That's a hotel for criminals. In John Wick 1 and 2, there is a hotel for the assassins. It's called the Continental. And then look at Atomic Blonde, the style of it. It's very, like, one shot, long takes, one shot, the action is very, crisp and clear, but at the same time gritty and mushy. But then, so, action movies have that new standard. this movie, A Quiet Place, even though it's PG-13, it can transcend the horror genre film because, you know, if you take away the music, which is like a really key part in the horror genre, you know, if you look at Freddy or if you look at like Freddy the 13th, you know, whenever you see the creepy aspects, like dun, dun, it's like, oh snap, creepy, scary, but if you take away part of that, if you basically kind of have that like low hanging note made by any instrument that they can hear, but then, you know, have the ambient noise around you and take away most of that aspect, then you got like a really good film going on. Because I'm honestly shocked this is like PG-13, but still, like, because in this film you're afraid of making any noise, which is like perfect. I don't know why. It's a really great idea. It's new. It's fresh. It's different, because if you take away like music and then just basically leave them with the sound, you basically put them in the film. You know, there's this one scene. It's also in the trailers where the kid accidentally knocks down a lamp, and then the music goes out. You don't hear anything. You just be like, you're afraid to breathe, and then you hear the knocking on the roof, and you hear like chittering. You know, like like something with an alien, and you're just like, you're not moving, but you're just like, you don't want to make a noise. That's what I loved about this film, and it completely blows me out of the water. And I hope that like horror movies kind of look at this as an example as to like, oh, it's this is how, you know, not like don't copy it, but this is the way to make a good horror film. Like if you take some aspect of that, maybe like the style of it was even great. Now I mean, there's not that many there's a lot of dystopian future movies that are like alien, duh, but the way it's set in, you know, it's like Walking Dead basically, but in an alien movie. Yeah, I mean, it's just that idea. I've been wanting to see this movie, and I've been wanting to get my thoughts on this, but I didn't want to say anything because I've been trying to avoid like spoilers. You know, ending explain. What do the aliens look like? You know, it's like, and you know, now that I've seen it, you know, I can finally like share my thoughts on it, and I'm so happy. But yeah, that's about it from me, guys. Um, More reviews coming out too, by the way. I've seen a crap ton of movies, and because I've been watching movies lately, that's why I've been so busy. I've watched